Hello and welcome everyone. I'm the Nomothete, and you're tuning in to another episode of What Are You Even Talking About? The podcast where we explore the big questions, delve into the corners of human experience, and challenge ourselves to grow in knowledge, empathy, and understanding. Today we have a truly universal topic on the table: love. As I've said before, love is a human universal. Each of us knows the feeling of love and knows how to show love in many different ways. It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. It doesn't matter if you are the nicest person in the world or the most evil. We have all shown many types of love in our lives to at least one other person in our lifetime. Love is instinctual. Now, I want to expand on that idea by venturing into a comprehensive exploration: the history of love, the psychology of love, the philosophy of love, the science of love, the spiritual aspects of love, and the many different types of love we share throughout our lives. If that sounds broad, that's because it truly is. Love is a concept so vast that it transcends cultural, linguistic, historical, and personal barriers. Despite our differences, love connects us in a way that few other experiences can. In this episode, we'll trace love's footprints from ancient times to our modern era, examining how various cultures and societies have understood and celebrated it. We'll break down the psychological underpinnings of love, exploring how our emotions and attachment styles evolve. We'll delve into philosophical debates that have shaped the meaning of love throughout history, from Platonic ideals to existential reflections on relationships. We'll then examine the biological and scientific factors, exploring the hormones, neurotransmitters, and evolutionary advantages that define our ability to love. We'll also take a look at the spiritual side of love, seeing how religious and spiritual traditions from around the world interpret and practice this profound emotion. Finally, we'll discuss the myriad ways love manifests in our lives: romantic, platonic, familial, and beyond. My goal is to put together a tapestry of insights: historical, psychological, philosophical, scientific, and spiritual, so we can appreciate the extraordinary richness of love in all its forms. So, without further ado, let's dive right in. To begin our deep dive into this universal experience, let's explore love as it appears across history. While it's impossible to compress the entire historical scope of love into a single segment, we can certainly glean crucial themes that have shaped our collective understanding of love over millennia. Ancient civilizations and love. 1. Mesopotamia and ancient Egypt. In the cradle of civilization, Mesopotamia, love was often discussed in the context of fertility, marriage, and divine blessings. Ancient Sumerian texts reference gods like Inanna, later known as Ishtar, who governed love, fertility, and warfare. In ancient Egypt, love was also deeply intertwined with religion. The story of Isis and Osiris is not merely a tale of familial bonds, but also a representation of a love so powerful it transcended death. Ritual texts and temple inscriptions in both regions depict how love, fertility, and deities were conceptually linked, underscoring love's divine significance. 2. Ancient Greece. The Greeks are famous for categorizing different kinds of love. Eros referred to passionate, romantic desire, often associated with the whims of the god of love. Philia meant deep friendship or brotherly love, such as the bond between soldiers or close companions. Agape was a universal, selfless love that had moral or spiritual overtones, an unconditional caring for the well-being of others. Storge signified familial affection, like the natural bond between parents and children. These notions from Greek philosophy laid early conceptual groundwork for distinguishing the many faces of love. a framework still referenced today. 3. Ancient Rome. Love in Rome took on both pragmatic and passionate forms. Marriages were frequently political or economic alliances, yet Roman poetry, especially from figures like Catullus and Ovid, reveals a deep longing for romantic and passionate love. The Romans inherited much from Greek thought and also evolved their own cultural narratives around love, including an emphasis on amor, romantic love, and amicitia, friendship or close bonds. Such complexities signified that love was simultaneously utilitarian and emotionally charged. Middle Ages and courtly love. Moving forward to the medieval period, particularly in Europe, we encounter the concept of courtly love, a chivalric, idealized notion often connected to troubadours singing about the unattainable perfect lady. This kind of love was romantic, sometimes secret, and filled with longing. It served as a significant cultural motif that shaped art, literature, and the aristocratic social structures of the time. Although it was often linked to extramarital or unattainable scenarios, it had a profound influence on how the Western world conceptualized romantic devotion and sacrifice. The Renaissance and beyond. With the Renaissance came a renewed interest in classical texts, humanism, and individual emotion. Poets like Shakespeare penned sonnets that illuminated love's complexity, capturing everything from the ecstasy of romance to the pain of betrayal. Love became not just a lofty chivalric goal, but a multifaceted experience that could be comedic, tragic, transcendent, or destructive. Shakespeare's work alone features love in countless forms: parental, romantic, platonic, thus illustrating the deeply ingrained role of love in human narratives. Modern and contemporary views. Fast forward to the modern era. Love is often seen as the central pillar of personal fulfillment. Romantic love increasingly became linked with marriage, particularly in Western societies, a significant shift from older customs, where marriage was primarily a social or economic contract. In contemporary times, we see an even broader acceptance of various forms of love, including same-sex love, polyamorous arrangements, and relationships that transcend traditional norms. Love is now widely recognized as a fundamental human right, a source of well-being, and a subject of continuous exploration and celebration. From ancient deities and epics to modern-day viral love stories on social media, love's presence in human history is nothing short of monumental. Next, let's switch gears and talk about how love operates within our minds, the psychology of love. Now that we have a sense of love's historical resonance, let's shift our attention to its psychological aspects. Psychologists have been trying to decode love's mysteries for quite some time, offering insights into how love forms, evolves, and sometimes, unfortunately, disintegrates. Attachment theory. One cornerstone in the psychology of love is attachment theory, pioneered by John Bowlby and later expanded by Mary Ainsworth. Initially focused on the bonds between children and caregivers, attachment styles were soon understood to influence adult romantic relationships as well. The four main attachment styles are: 1. Secure attachment. Individuals feel comfortable with intimacy and are generally warm and loving. They can navigate closeness and independence without excessive worry. 2. Anxious attachment. Individuals crave intimacy but often fear abandonment. They may become overly dependent on reassurance, leading to anxious behaviors in relationships. 3. Avoidant attachment. People who value independence and emotional distance, often suppressing or denying their emotional needs. They may find it challenging to trust or rely on others. 4. Fearful avoidant, disorganized attachment. individuals who oscillate between craving closeness and fearing it, often due to past trauma or inconsistent caregiving experiences. Studies consistently show that secure attachment correlates with higher relationship satisfaction, while insecure attachment styles can predict conflicts and instability. Sternberg's triangular theory of love. Psychologist Robert Sternberg proposed the triangular theory of love, which dissects love into three main components. 1. Intimacy, emotional closeness and connectedness. 2. Passion, sexual or romantic attraction, as well as the drive that leads to physiological arousal. 3. Commitment, the conscious decision to stay together and nurture the relationship over time. These components can combine in various ways to form different types of love: liking, intimacy only; infatuation, passion only; empty love, commitment only; romantic love, intimacy plus passion; companionate love, intimacy plus commitment; fatuous love, passion plus commitment; and ultimately, consummate love, intimacy plus passion plus commitment. Behavioral and cognitive influences. Our upbringing, culture, past experiences, and personal values all color how we express and receive love. Cognitive schemas, mental models shaped by past experiences, determine whether we see love as a source of security or a potential threat. Behavioral psychology points to reward and punishment cycles that can encourage or discourage certain relational behaviors. For instance, when we experience a positive outcome, like emotional support or affection, we're more likely to seek it again and reciprocate. Schema therapy research suggests that negative or distorted schemas about relationships can lead to repeated dysfunctional patterns in love if left unexamined. The role of self-love and self-esteem. It's difficult to discuss the psychology of love without mentioning self-love. While it might sound cliché, there is a strong psychological basis for the idea that we can't truly love others if we don't possess a fundamental respect and compassion for ourselves. Low self-esteem often distorts our perceptions of relationships, leading to insecure attachments or unhealthy dynamics. On the other hand, a balanced sense of self-worth can facilitate healthier, more fulfilling relationships. The psychological perspective underscores that love is not just one thing. It's an interplay between our earliest attachments, our cognitive perceptions, and the ways we've learned to express or withhold affection. With that in mind, let's journey onward into philosophy, where thinkers have debated love's meaning for centuries. Philosophers have grappled with love's essence for thousands of years, offering diverse interpretations and frameworks. For some, love is central to ethics and morality. For others, it's a complex phenomenon that reveals truths about human existence. Platonic love and eros. We already mentioned the Greeks a bit, but let's dig deeper into Plato's influence. In Plato's Symposium, Socrates recounts a teaching from the prophetess Diotima about the nature of eros, which is not merely physical desire, but a ladder of ascent toward higher forms of beauty, and ultimately, the divine. Plato's notion of platonic love has come to mean a relationship that transcends physical attraction and aims for shared intellectual or spiritual ideals. Aristotle and philia. Aristotle also weighed in, emphasizing philia as a deep form of friendship. For Aristotle, genuine friendship was a moral practice, a relationship based on mutual virtue and the desire for the other's good. Although Aristotle's focus might not seem overtly romantic, his exploration of deep friendship illuminates aspects of love that go beyond mere affection or infatuation. Eastern philosophical perspectives. Philosophy of love is hardly confined to the West. In Eastern traditions, concepts like metta, loving-kindness in Buddhism, and prem or bhakti in Hinduism highlight a universal love extended to all beings. These forms of love are often spiritual or devotional in nature, emphasizing compassion and unity rather than romantic desire. Confucian thought also stresses the importance of Ren, benevolence or humaneness, encompassing a loving attitude toward family, community, and humanity at large. Existential and modern views. In the 19th and 20th centuries, existentialist philosophers like Jean-Paul Sartre and Simone de Beauvoir explored love in the context of freedom, choice, and authenticity. Sartre viewed relationships as a struggle of consciousnesses, each seeking validation. Meanwhile, de Beauvoir's work on ethics and equality in relationships adds layers to our understanding of how love can either liberate or oppress, depending on the dynamic between partners. Modern and postmodern philosophers continue to question whether love is a social construct, a moral necessity, or a reflection of our existential loneliness. The value question. A common thread in philosophy is whether love is the highest human good. For many, love represents not just an emotion but a moral or existential principle, a force that enriches our lives, fosters social cohesion, and pushes us toward growth and transcendence. Others critique love's idealization, warning that it can become possessive or manipulative. Yet, across cultural lines, the emphasis on love's transformative potential remains remarkably consistent. Many Platonic dialogues emphasize that love, or eros, serves as a bridge between the mortal and the divine, suggesting that human love is a microcosm of universal love. From Plato's soaring ideals to existentialist challenges, philosophy provides a compelling lens for understanding love's deeper meaning. Let's proceed now to the scientific realm, where we examine the biological and evolutionary basis for this universal emotion. You might have heard that love is a chemical cocktail in the brain, and to a large extent, science supports that statement. Yet it's also more intricate than just a surge of hormones. Understanding the science of love can help demystify the intensity of our emotional experiences and clarify why love is so vital for our survival and well-being. Neurochemicals and hormones. When we talk about the science of love, certain chemicals often take center stage. 1. Dopamine. Associated with reward and pleasure, dopamine levels surge when we're around someone we're attracted to, creating feelings of euphoria and excitement. 2. Oxytocin. Often called the cuddle hormone or the love hormone, oxytocin fosters bonding and trust. It's released during intimate moments, hugging, kissing, and sexual activity, and plays a crucial role in parent-child bonding. 3. Serotonin. In early stages of romantic love, serotonin levels can fluctuate significantly, contributing to those obsessive, infatuated thoughts about your beloved. Some research compares the serotonin profile in early-stage romance to that found in individuals with obsessive-compulsive disorder. 4. Vasopressin. Linked more to long-term commitment and monogamous pair bonding. Research in certain animal species, like prairie voles, shows that vasopressin helps in forming lasting bonds. Fact: neuroscientist Helen Fisher's fMRI studies found that romantic love triggers the same reward pathways in the brain associated with addictive substances, illustrating how compelling and consuming love can be. Evolutionary perspectives. From an evolutionary standpoint, love can be seen as an adaptive mechanism. The process of pair bonding ensures that human infants, who require a lengthy developmental period, receive the care and resources of two parents, or a supportive community. Additionally, social cohesion in groups is often strengthened by non-romantic forms of love, such as communal care for offspring, or close friendships that increase mutual survival. Moreover, Sexual selection theories explain how mate preferences evolve based on traits considered advantageous for survival and reproduction. Displays of kindness, generosity, and empathy can be fitness indicators, suggesting a partner who is cooperative and nurturing. The role of genetics. While environment and personal experiences shape how we express love, genetics can play a part in our predisposition to certain attachment styles or emotional intensities. Studies on twins suggest that certain aspects of our romantic behaviors have a heritable component, although biology is never the sole determinant. Environment and cultural context strongly interact with genetic predispositions. Brain imaging studies. With the advancement of fMRI and PET scans, researchers have begun mapping how our brains respond to love. In early romantic love, regions linked to reward and pleasure, like the ventral tegmental area, light up. Over time, as the relationship matures, activity patterns shift to areas associated with long-term bonding and attachment. These regions also overlap with areas that govern empathy and social connection, highlighting love's essential role in forming cooperative social bonds. Science offers us a glimpse into the physiological tapestry that creates our experience of love, underscoring that this emotion, while profoundly spiritual and philosophical, also has a clear biological foundation. Now let's shift to an often intertwined dimension, the spiritual aspects of love. Spirituality can be deeply personal, varying across religions, philosophies, and individual belief systems. Yet regardless of the tradition, love frequently stands out as a core virtue and existential principle. Many spiritual texts emphasize love's transcendent power to connect us not just with each other, but with the divine or universal consciousness. Love in major world religions. 1. Christianity often emphasizes agape or selfless love. The New Testament's exhortation to love thy neighbor as thyself underscores love as a foundational Christian value. 2. Islam teaches compassion and love through the concept of rahmah, or mercy, and encourages believers to reflect divine attributes by loving fellow human beings. 3. Hinduism contains many strands of devotion, or bhakti, where love for a personal deity becomes a route to spiritual liberation. The concept of prem signifies a pure, selfless devotion. 4. Buddhism encourages metta, loving kindness, karuna, compassion, mudita, sympathetic joy, and upekkha, equanimity, the Brahma Viharas, or Four Immeasurables, collectively promoting an all-encompassing form of compassionate love. 5. Judaism emphasizes ahava, love, not just as an emotion, but as an action, something to be expressed through deeds of kindness and community building. Mystical and esoteric traditions. Throughout history, mystical traditions, Sufism in Islam, Kabbalah in Judaism, Christian mysticism, and various forms of Eastern mysticism have viewed love as a pathway to divine union or enlightenment. Practitioners often describe an indescribable, overwhelming sense of oneness fueled by unconditional love, suggesting that at its highest vibration, love dissolves the boundary between self and the universal. The concept of universal love. Many spiritual teachings propose that the ultimate form of love is universal, transcending individual attachments. This universal love often arises from the belief that all beings are interconnected and share a common essence. By cultivating compassion and empathy, spiritual seekers aim to embody love that extends equally to friends, family, strangers, and even adversaries. Personal spiritual practice. Personal spiritual practices, like prayer, meditation, or acts of service, often revolve around the cultivation of love for oneself and others. Indeed, many spiritual teachers insist that learning to love oneself is a prerequisite for truly loving others. This is not about narcissism, but about recognizing one's own intrinsic worth, which then naturally extends outward to recognize the worth of every living being. Fact. Research suggests that meditation practices focused on loving kindness can increase positive emotions and reduce stress, illustrating the profound mind-body-spirit benefits of cultivating love. Whether defined by religious texts or personal mystical experiences, spiritual love is frequently described as boundless and unconditional. Having surveyed the spiritual dimension, let's explore the many varieties of love that color our daily lives. It's common to think of love in romantic terms, but as the Greeks taught us, there are myriad forms. Recognizing these variations can enrich our relationships and help us appreciate love's complexity. Romantic love, often celebrated in songs, literature, and media, romantic love involves passion, desire, and emotional intensity. In modern culture, we might see it as the pinnacle of personal fulfillment. Though in various societies, romantic love coexists with practical considerations like compatibility, financial stability, and cultural values. Familial love. This includes the bond between parents and children, siblings, and extended relatives. It's often marked by shared responsibility, deep loyalty, and mutual sacrifice. While familial love can be unconditional, family dynamics can also be complicated, shaped by generational patterns, cultural norms, and individual personalities. Platonic or friendship. Love. Platonic love involves close, non-romantic bonds that provide emotional support, shared interests, and loyalty. Good friends can act as chosen family, offering a sense of belonging that deeply impacts our mental and emotional well-being. These relationships can be as influential as romantic ones in shaping our sense of identity and connection. Self-love. As mentioned earlier, self-love isn't about selfishness, but about honoring your own well-being. It's the foundation that allows you to set healthy boundaries, cultivate confidence, and foster a positive mental space. Without a healthy level of self-love, other relationships can become imbalanced, fraught with insecurity or codependence. Compassionate or altruistic love, sometimes referred to as universal love. Compassion extends beyond immediate personal circles to encompass humanity at large, or even all living beings. Altruistic acts, volunteering, or simply showing kindness to strangers can all be expressions of this broader love. Unrequited love. This is the painful side of the spectrum. Loving someone who does not or cannot return that affection. Unrequited love has inspired countless works of art, poetry, and music, highlighting how heartbreak can be as profound an experience as joyful love. Toxic or manipulative love. Not all love is healthy. Sometimes what we call love can be laced with control, manipulation, or emotional abuse. Recognizing toxic patterns is essential for emotional well-being, reminding us that genuine love should contribute to growth and mutual respect rather than exploitation or harm. When we say love is instinctual, we acknowledge that each of us has the capacity to express and receive these varieties of love. We might transition in and out of these different forms throughout our lifetimes, shaping how we relate to others and ourselves. It would be incomplete to talk about love without discussing how culture influences its expression. Though love itself may be universal, the ways we show and interpret it vary enormously across different societies. In some cultures, openly saying "I love you" might be commonplace. People say it daily to family members, friends, and romantic partners. In other parts of the world, love is expressed more subtly through actions. Preparing a meal, offering support, giving a thoughtful gift, or engaging in certain rituals. Anthropologists find that love languages differ globally, demonstrating that cultural context shapes our preferred methods of affection. Cultural norms heavily influence how romantic love begins. Arranged marriages are still common in parts of South Asia, the Middle East, and Africa, though the element of choice, and sometimes romantic love, is increasingly integrated. In more individualistic societies, dating apps, casual flirting, and open conversations about relationships are prevalent. Even the idea of dating as a structured process can look wildly different around the globe. While hugging, kissing, or holding hands in public might be normal in some Western countries, these gestures can be frowned upon in more conservative cultures. Yet, in certain places, you might see same-gender friends walking hand in hand without romantic implications, demonstrating that symbols of affection often carry unique cultural connotations. Every culture has its own love stories, epics, and folklore. Whether you're reading Persian poetry by Rumi, immersing yourself in Indian Bollywood romances, or exploring Shakespearean dramas, narratives about love often reflect cultural values. They can emphasize devotion, sacrifice, individual freedom, or communal harmony. The global popularity of certain romance tropes like star-crossed lovers testifies to the universal appeal of love stories, even as local variations highlight distinct cultural flavors. Recognizing these cultural nuances can deepen our appreciation for love's universal power, while reminding us that expressions of love are shaped by context. Next, let's talk about how love evolves through our life stages. Love is not static. It changes as we grow, mature, and encounter new life experiences. From childhood attachments to adolescent crushes, from adult romance to the warm connections in later life, love's shape and significance shifts with each phase. The earliest forms of love we experience are typically familial, between parent and child. During infancy, responsive caregiving helps foster a sense of safety and trust. As children grow, they form friendships that often teach them about sharing, empathy, and cooperation, early lessons in how to give and receive affection. Teenagers undergo a whirlwind of hormonal and emotional changes. Romantic feelings often first emerge in adolescence, bringing intense crushes and heartbreaks. Friendship circles also deepen, and peer relationships can become a critical source of support, affection, and understanding. The adolescent stage sets the foundation for adult attachment patterns. This period typically involves forming deeper romantic relationships, whether casual dating or committed partnerships like marriage. Many people start families in this phase, extending the circle of love to include children and in-laws. Adult friendships can also be a lifeline, offering a sense of continuity amid career challenges and personal development. As people move into their 50s, 60s, and beyond, love continues to evolve. Some rediscover romance after losing a partner or going through a divorce, while others find renewed intimacy in a long-term relationship. Grandparental love can become significant, offering a new dimension of affection with grandchildren. Friendships deepen or shift, and many people focus on community involvement or altruistic pursuits, channeling their love into acts of legacy and service. At every age, love resonates differently. It's a lifelong journey that reflects our changing priorities, experiences, and personal growth. Now let's look at love's power to heal and transform, even in difficult circumstances. Among love's many attributes, one that stands out is its remarkable ability to heal. When people endure trauma or heartbreak, a loving gesture, be it from a friend, family member, therapist, or community can jumpstart recovery. Let's explore how that works. Feelings of isolation and despair often accompany difficult life events. Love, in the form of empathy, compassionate listening, and genuine support, can help restore a sense of belonging. Therapeutic relationships and counseling also demonstrate how structured professional empathy can lead to breakthroughs and the healing of emotional wounds. Research consistently links loving relationships to better physical health outcomes. People in stable, supportive relationships often experience lower stress levels, reduced incidence of depression, and even improved cardiovascular health. Hormones like oxytocin don't just foster bonding, they can also promote stress relief and lower cortisol levels, contributing to overall well-being. Consider individuals who have found new purpose and direction through love, whether romantic, spiritual, or altruistic. Love can inspire a shift in identity, prompting personal growth or a reevaluation of life choices. In some spiritual or religious contexts, an experience of profound unconditional love can be life-altering, reshaping core beliefs and relationships. On a broader scale, collective acts of love can transform societies. Social movements rooted in compassion, like humanitarian aid, civil rights initiatives, and grassroots community work, often rely on love as a driving force. The concept of love thy neighbor, when practiced beyond mere words, can result in tangible improvements in social cohesion and justice. While love doesn't solve every problem, it certainly has the power to catalyze healing and transformation, both individually and collectively. Let's move to an equally important subject: the ethics and responsibilities that come with loving. Thank you for today. Thank you for yesterday. Thank you for tomorrow. Always remember to question your reality. And at every end, there is a beginning. Thank you for spending some time with me. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And y'all take care. Until next time.